When you want to play golf with Chewbacca, teach him how to play golf.
Welcome to episode 39 of The Musers, the podcast. I'm Craig.
I'm George.
I'm Gordon.
And this week we're going to talk about what has been front and center in the headlines recently, and that is space with the Artemis 2 mission to the moon. We're going to talk about that mission, our past missions to the moon. Will we ever get to Mars? And we'll try to get inside the mind of the space conspiracy theorists. So this will be perfect. 3 space cadets talking about space.
Yeah.
Which has always been one of my favorite topics. There's a lot to get into with space talk today, and we'll dive into that here in just a minute. First, a story about one of our sponsors, the Game Changers exhibit, United by Sports, on display right now at the George W. Bush Presidential Center in Dallas. Well, our friends over there a few weeks back asked me to moderate an evening with the great Clayton Kershaw and his wife, Ellen. And before that evening started, we all got to tour the exhibit. And I have to tell you, if you're a sports fan or you're a student of American culture, you need to see this exhibit. It was pretty surreal, by the way, to be touring the exhibit with a Dodgers legend, Clayton Kershaw, as he and I are standing there looking at legendary Dodgers great Jackie Robinson's memorabilia from his great career. That was really weird.
Man, how cool is that?
Yeah, and some of the stuff that they had there was amazing, including his 1952 All-Star Game home run bat, a baseball signed by Jackie and 21 of his 1955 World Series winning teammates, a glove worn by Jackie, which looked like almost nothing more than a winter glove that your kid might wear these days.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy.
That had to hurt when someone threw smoke across the diamond at him and
Yes.
they caught it with that thing.
And I don't know how he caught it with it. It was hardly even bigger than his hand, and there wasn't really a pocket.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like the modern
Yeah.
glove has this big pocket in it, but it just had fingers.
Right.
Didn't really have a
Looks like
pocket.
Mickey Mouse's gloves. It just fits
Yes.
his hand and is a little puffy.
Yes.
I'm going to catch a line drive. You say?
They also had a survey that he filled out when he was in the minor leagues, and they gave this to all the minor leaguers. And one question asked of him was what he wanted to accomplish in his Major League Baseball career. And he answered to help bring an end to the baseball color line.
Wow.
Where everybody else is answering, I want to be MVP, I want to make 7 All-Star teams. That's what he was thinking even in the minor leagues, because he knew that he was going to break some ground.
Wow. What a story. And was President Bush like giving you a tour of his library?
No. So
I want you to read this book. This is by Beverly Cleary. It's called Ribsy.
I did tour the Game Changers exhibit with the Kershaws, but not the president. However, we had several interactions with him right after that. He came back to the green room and talked to us before and after the 1-hour interview that we did on stage at the Bush Center. And he was great. You know, he's in his 70s now, maybe almost 80, and looks great, still plays a lot of golf. In fact, recently shot his age, George.
Man,
Wow.
he's my hero.
And recently had a hole-in-one.
Whoa.
2 things you've always wanted to do.
Yeah.
The president has done that recently, and he did say to tell you 2 guys hi.
Oh.
That's so crazy to me.
That
There's
we
a
know
former
someone
president
who used to be president
that
of the United
listens.
States.
I know it. Maybe one day we get him on the podcast. We've had him on the radio show. Maybe one day we get him on the
Maybe. There's a
podcast.
chance of that.
Didn't you say he brought up the fake Mac Brown?
Yes. That was his favorite character that you do was the fake Mac
You
Brown.
need to keep
Makes
that
my
in mind,
brain crazy.
especially some of the things you say about fake Sally.
Oops.
So Jackie Robinson, a great example of someone who helped unite us through sports and a true game changer. The George W. Bush Presidential Center's Game Changer exhibit, United by Sports, runs now through January 10th of next year, and we appreciate their support of this podcast. Okay, now it's time for our letter of the week, and this comes to us from Bob. He writes, I recently listened to the episode on pets, and especially about the end of life for a pet. I wanted to share a story about my cousin, who was a veterinarian with a small animal practice in Oklahoma. This story is from the late 70s, so things were different.
It's not going
No.
in place good.
He had an elderly lady client with a more elderly dog. The dog was in extremely poor condition, so my cousin had been advising that the most humane thing would be to put the poor dog down, but the lady did not want to hear of it. So one day she calls and said she was bringing the dog in for my cousin to put it to sleep. She dropped the dog off in a little basket and asked if she could come back in an hour to pick it up. My cousin euthanized the dog, and in about an hour, the lady called and asked if she could come back and pick it up. They said yes, and then she said, "I'm traveling 2 hours to see my sister, and I thought it would be a good idea to put the dog to sleep because he's so old, I thought he'd travel better while sleeping."
Oh, no.
Well, we gave him a little extra, and he's really sound asleep.
He ought to sleep
Don't
for
disturb
at
him.
least a year. Keep an eye on it.
Panic set in, but my cousin told his staff to put the dog back in its basket, wrap it up in its blanket, and load it in the car for her, and don't charge her. In about 2 hours, the lady called my cousin to report that her dog had died peacefully in its sleep and thanked him for all he had done over the years.
He should have fessed up.
He said it could have backfired, but it worked out.
Yeah. Somehow, man, could you imagine?
He's got to be honest
You had to
on
tell
that.
her, hey, I thought you wanted us to.
No, I think you just ride it out, and she feels like the dog died naturally in its sleep with her.
But he's lying, though. You
That's
can't
okay.
lie.
Right out of a sitcom.
Yes. She was elderly. Just let her think that.
It is stupid. Why do we have that euphemism?
Right.
Putting an animal to sleep. We don't say that about humans, do we?
No.
So why do we say it about animals? Why
Just
is
makes
it
us feel
putting them
better.
to sleep?
Just makes us feel better.
Yeah.
It's that they're
Yeah, but it causes confusion. It causes murder. Pet murder.
But this woman eventually passed away having never known the wiser. So it's okay. If you have any stories or comments about anything we talk about, you can email us, themuserspod@gmail.com. All right, now to this week's topic, space, the final frontier. These will be the thoughts of the Starship Musers on at least a 2-year mission, contractually speaking, to boldly go where only about 2 million other podcasts have gone before. And I was really dialed in, and I think you guys were to the whole Artemis 2 mission. Were you not?
Yes.
Yeah, I was semi-dialed in. Now, this is right in y'all's wheelhouse space. I'm somewhere in between. There's one part of the spectrum that has no interest in space, and y'all are really into it. I'm somewhere in the middle of this thing. I'm fascinated by it. And I remember as a kid watching liftoff and watching the astronauts come back. I think was the last mission 71 before this one?
I think that's right.
I remember
It was
watching
72, wasn't it?
72, somewhere in there. I was
Last moon mission.
Yeah, moon mission. I was 6 or 7 years old and remember being captivated by it, just thinking how I couldn't I still can't wrap my mind around it.
Yeah, there's a reason for that.
What's that?
I'm not so sure we went to the moon. So
All right, we're getting to that.
Yeah.
All right, I know you
Reason why it's a little
don't
crazy.
I
believe
know
that.
you don't believe that, but we're going to get to that later in this podcast because there are a lot of people that doubt that we've ever been to the moon. So if you're a 5 on that scale, I don't think I'm a 10. I don't know where you are, Gordo. 10 is the most interested you can be in space, but I'm about a 7.5, maybe even an 8. I think the whole thing is amazing. I think it's the most amazing thing we've ever done.
No doubt.
Considering that 50 years ago with that technology, and I've always said that those astronauts that flew those Apollo missions, even the test missions leading up to the actual moon missions, are the bravest we've ever had to strap themselves to the top of what looks now to be a pretty primitive rocket with all that fuel and power underneath and to blast off to the moon, not knowing what's going to happen. I just think those people had the biggest balls of any humans that ever lived.
They were brave actors. The astronauts.
Stop it.
Sorry.
You don't believe
I
that.
meant to say astronauts.
Stop it. You don't believe that. No, and what we do now, I can wrap my mind around that because we've had years and years of progress in computers, and now we have AI. How we did that back in the late 60s is still just incredible.
Yeah. And these rockets now are so much more powerful and faster, and the whole space program has come a long way, as it should in 50 years with all of our technological advances. Yet, as I watched splashdown of Artemis 2 the other day, it went from 24,000 miles per hour upon re-entry to 19 miles an hour when it hit the Pacific Ocean, because we still use the old-fashioned parachute technology.
Hey, it works.
16 different parachutes deploy to start slowing it down.
Land in the ocean.
Yeah, and then 3. Yeah, right, and we can land it in the ocean. There's still some things that kind of haven't changed in 50 years.
It seems weird to me that we land in the ocean, because it seems like the salt water would not be so good for those capsules, but I guess they don't reuse any of the capsules. I thought we got to reuse capsules, right?
Well, now, we're not quite there yet, but SpaceX has developed that technology where we are reusing the boosters, where they come back to Earth and land. Yeah.
The capsules we reuse, correct?
I don't know, but don't you think that if it doesn't slow down to 19 miles an hour, you have a much better chance splashing down than you would hitting in the middle of Arizona?
No, not Arizona. I'm talking about we go into the Great Lakes. I mean, that's a big area, so we're probably within the margin of error, and it's fresh water, isn't it?
I don't think that's worth the risk of salt water versus fresh water.
What?
What you just said. You're worried about salt water and what it does to those capsules. I don't think they care enough about that.
The electronics in those?
Well, I'm sure they care about it, but the Great Lakes are huge, but you got an entire ocean. Your margin for error is much greater out there.
Yeah, but I think that the margin for error that they land in the ocean is like a mile? I mean, it's not like we're going to guess where in the Pacific they landed. I think they're pretty exact.
Yeah, they can dial it in. They were about 60 miles off the coast of San Diego, I believe, for this one. To answer your question, Gordo, I'm sure it doesn't matter.
Otherwise,
they thought of it.
Yeah,
they wouldn't land in salt water if it was ruining everything. So I
just
think
want the Great Lakes to get some more events, like a splashdown.
They need more events.
Splashdown Duluth is something that you want to promote.
I'm worried about the small businesses surrounding the Great Lakes, and we need an event for them to
event.
I thought hearing the interviews with the astronauts after they came back from the Artemis 2 mission was fascinating. The commander said, it was the greatest thing he's ever done, unforgettable. But he said, when you are on the other side of the moon and you're further out into space than any human has ever gone, you cannot imagine the longing that you have to get back to Earth and see your family. And that's something I guess I never thought of, because as a kid, I, imagined being on a spaceship and heading out into the galaxy, and just thought that would be so cool. But these are the very few people that have been to space, deep space, not just some of these Blue Horizon things where you go up to, or Blue Origin things where you go.
Not the Katy Perry trip.
Yeah, not the Katy Perry trip. People who actually go into space.
Leave her alone.
And they all kind of commented that you can't imagine the weird combination of being excited, but also being incredibly lonely for Earth. You don't realize how much you miss Earth.
It's because we're not meant to go.
I wonder if they're ever on the edge of a panic attack.
Maybe.
I mean, we get claustrophobia, some of us do. I couldn't imagine being in that little compartment. You're weightless, and then your brain's trying to process, no one's ever been here before. And how long were they without contact on the other side of the moon? Wasn't it
about an hour?
Yeah.
Could you imagine that?
Believe me, they have like a cattle trank wand up there in case one of them starts freaking out. The other one can zap them in the neck.
Do you think they do?
Yeah.
You're making that up.
Guaranteed they have medicine on board for a panic attack.
Yeah.
Sure. They've thought of that. They thought of the saltwater thing. Certainly they thought of Xanax.
You know what else was interesting? They also said that when people from the outside open that capsule door for the first time, the smell is overwhelming. The astronauts in the capsule
smells like a barn.
Get used to it. They said that, they may smell something in the beginning, but then they don't smell anything after that because they get used to everybody else's BO and the stench. But that when someone from the outside first opens that door, that's what they've been living in for 9 days in this case, or 10 days.
Golly. Yeah. Could you imagine being around 4 or 5 people for 9 days straight in a confined area?
Yeah, and the Muser's road trip of Texas was kind of like that.
Kind of.
And the 4 astronauts from Artemis were on stage, and they were, 6 feet apart at one point, and they commented, "This is the furthest apart we've been from each other in a week and a half," but yet they were still kind of close to each other.
Yeah, and they say that the capsule was the size of a large SUV or something like that. I forget what they said the interior space of it was.
Yeah.
So it's pretty small.
Bigger on TV.
It does. They're using fisheye lenses.
But thankfully, this mission went off without a hitch. Now, the next one is Artemis 3, and that's where they're going to test the lunar landing module that
they haven't built yet.
Right. NASA's in the works with Blue Origin and SpaceX. One of them will build it for NASA, and that's supposed to happen next year, 2027. Then Artemis 4 and 5 will land humans on the moon, and that should be in 2028. And one of the reasons they're doing this is, I don't understand all of this, but they said to collect water to test to see if they can use it as fuel to then propel them to Mars eventually. And they would like to start the first missions to Mars by 2039 or 2040. So these return trips to the moon are really about getting back to Mars.
So wait, there's confirmed water on the moon?
They think that, I guess that's part of it, that they think there is in one of these craters that's down below where we haven't gone yet.
It looks just like the Great Lakes.
How does water get on the moon?
Yeah, I'm not sure. Maybe it's buried where you got to drill for it. I'm not sure. But I think it's also to, I don't know about colonize the moon, but we want to plant our flag again on the moon because China says they want to be there by 2030. So we are, again, kind of in a space race.
I thought there was a treaty that said that the moon was nobody's property. Like no one can claim it.
Yes, and treaties have been broken time and time again. It's just, do you eventually trust the countries that you're in a treaty with?
No, of course not. But well, then why haven't we officially proclaimed it as ours?
Yeah, we should. We're the only people to put boots on it.
Yeah, if we got a flag up
Is that
there
the only
already.
flag up there?
Mm-hmm.
I think there's an old Southwest Conference flag up there too.
But now other countries will be able to get there at some point.
Heck, we built a golf course up there. Should be ours.
I don't think I've built a golf course.
I've seen a couple guys playing 9 holes.
They hit a couple of shots.
Would you guys ever want to be an astronaut, go to the moon? Did you ever have that desire as a kid?
Yeah, when I was a kid, I definitely did. Now it's I've always been amazed when I watch shows about those astronauts, how well-rounded they are in their knowledge. Like they know how to do calculus and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, they're really smart.
They're really smart people. So, but I wonder if we've relaxed the rules on astronauts the way we have, military to get recruits up and everything. Like back in the day, I'm sure that those guys who were originally on there, they were well-rounded. But what's his name? Neil Armstrong was the only one who wasn't in the military.
I just figured all of them were.
He was the only civilian, I think, that went up there.
Well, we've obviously relaxed things because Katy Perry went.
Yeah.
So
if you can afford the ticket, you can be an astronaut.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think I could take the confined space. I just think I would go crazy with claustrophobia. I have a hard time on an airline if I have the wrong
seat. There's no way that
Mm-hmm.
you could take that, Giorgio.
No.
You're riding on a subway and freaking out one time.
Yeah.
So let me ask
tore
you,
some old woman's throat out.
No.
let me ask you this then, because I don't think I could do it either. But as a kid watching Star Trek, they're on this giant spaceship with hallways and everybody's got their own room. And that's how I always envision going out into deep space on a spaceship like that. You could do that, right?
I think so. Yeah, but I would be the one you would want to dart after a couple hours. I'd probably start freaking out.
The cattle trank wand pointed at you at all times.
What if we run out of oxygen? I'd be worried about that.
So you wouldn't want to go on this one that's the size of an SUV and you have to crap in a phone booth.
It would have to be something from Star Trek, Star Wars, or Battlestar Galactica.
Did you ever see how they go to the bathroom? Like, do they have some privacy when they pull the bag out?
There's some door. I saw briefly them covering this, and the bottom of that capsule, it was like in the floor, and they could go in there, and it almost is just the size of a person. I mean, it's really small. It's like a coffin. You have to get inside a coffin.
Way. I just go in my pants.
And then, well, I don't think that's an option.
There would be if I was up there.
Gosh.
I wouldn't lock myself in a cabinet.
Well, if those astronauts, God forbid, had the bad bathroom.
What if your nerves are at an all-time high? I bet they do.
Because the, those electronics and everything, liquid up there floats around the capsule. So you have to be very careful. They say the urine is the more treacherous of the two bathrooms that you can go to.
Really?
Yeah. So if you had horrible bathroom, which that's always a chance of you,
That's
Giorgio, being
not a problem
nervous
for me.
and anxious.
Not a problem for me. Never has been.
Imagine that floating around the capsule.
So you don't think they go to a buffet of unlimited enchiladas the night before?
No way.
They have to control their diet.
No way. And I wonder what they
margaritas.
do for other hygiene. Like, do they wipe with wipes every once in a while instead of taking a bath? They're not showering.
No, those are not even flushable up in space.
You think they have hell breath? No.
Yeah, are they brushing
No,
their
they
teeth?
got to brush your teeth, right?
I would think so.
Where? The coffin? The bathroom coffin?
I don't know if it's inside the bathroom coffin, but well, you can't have a sink either, right? Because you can't have running water.
Because you can't spit out your toothpaste; it would float up into
into space. I don't know. Maybe they go outside the capsule for a little bit.
I don't think they brush their teeth for 9 days.
Yeah, that's what they should do. Like, you see those, well, it's happened, say, at the International Space Station where they're tethered, but they're floating out in space. That's what you should do when you go to the bathroom. And there should be some sort of Velcro opening on the back of your pants.
Yes, you open up the back of your pants and you're wearing like a scuba mask so you can still breathe.
Yeah. And you let fly and it goes off into space.
Yes. Tastefully retreats into the darkness.
Yes. Keep the capsule clean.
Keep the capsule clean. Maybe set it on fire as it retreats into the darkness.
It was wild. I was looking at some of their backgrounds. Captain Glover played football at Cal Poly.
Okay.
Do you think when he was playing football at Cal Poly, he used to think, someday I'm going to go to the moon? He was in aerospace engineering and
Yeah,
I guess he took all that, but still, that's pretty wild because you just, I don't know. I just think of these guys as, they must have gone to Harvard, they must have gone to somewhere. But then he went on to graduate school and joined the Air Force and, got his flying experience. But that's just wild, from Cal Poly to the moon or around the moon, and everyone in the world knows who you are.
Right.
What's the strategic advantage of the moon? Is it just as a launching place for Mars?
Well, I think that's part of it. And I think, I suppose anything can be spun to be a military advantage. You've got an eye on
weapon systems
you've got
up there.
An eye on
Space
everybody
Force.
from up there. Yeah. Who knows what war is going to look like in 50 or 100 or 200 years. And,
I'm just
maybe
curious
that's a base.
as to the point of space exploration. I mean, is it inventions? Is that the main benefit of it? Is that we invent a bunch of stuff in order to do this ridiculous mission, and then that benefits people on Earth? Is it bragging rights? Is it plain curiosity why we do this?
All of the above, I would say.
Or is it an escape plan? Like, it does worry me a little bit that Bezos and Branson for a while and Elon, that all the rich guys know that we need to be building ships to get out of here.
Yes.
They know something.
Yes. I think it's all of the above. I think it's every bit of that. I think it's our curiosity to see how far we can get out there. What is out there? Is there life out there? I think it's part bragging rights. You want to be the first country to land on the moon. You want to be the first country to get to Mars. I think it's everything.
But why that instead of deep sea exploration? Like, why is that not capturing the imagination and the money and the funding the way that space exploration does?
I think a simple answer is because at night you sit back in your chair and you
see
look
the
up and
heavens.
you see the stars and you want to go out there, but nowhere do you sit and see the bottom of the ocean.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure they had the same questions back in the 1400s. Why are we getting on these ships and going out into the sea? We know it's there. Why are we doing this? It's for exploration.
Mm-hmm.
It's unknown, maybe.
And for colonizing George. Which is
Well, that too, once they found
wrong then, wrong
land.
now.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
I'm curious what the missions to Mars will be like. Number one, I'm curious to see if we can get it done in 14 years. That's the time frame, their goal at least. So that could happen in our lifetime. For George and I, is it going to happen in our lifetime? That starts getting a little dicier now that we're 60. But
Hopefully I have a front row seat for it.
but this is supposed to happen in our lifetime. And it's, by the way, they think it'd be about a 9 or 10 month trip to Mars, then do whatever you're going to do there, then 9 or 10 months back. So that's a long mission. That's a 2-year mission.
That's a lot of driving time. That's a
Everything
lot of, are we here there? Are we there
Yeah.
yet?
Right.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Can a human do that? Can
I mean,
a human be gone that long?
Think of how boring the license plate game's going to get.
Yeah.
None.
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 Yeah, if these Artemis 2 astronauts said that they felt this incredible loneliness when they were on the other side of the moon, how are the Mars astronauts going to feel when they're 6-7 months out into space?
Yeah, that ship's going to come back and there's no life still on board. They've all killed each other and gone
Right.
feral.
Right.
Really long beards.
I mean, it could happen. You don't know what human psychology would do in
Yeah.
a situation like that.
Yeah. That to me, we talk about, it's hard to wrap your mind around. That one seems like, I don't think that's going to work.
Going to Mars?
All right. So you,
Based on
you
all
just
my,
don't see how
all
it
my
can work.
research, I don't see how that one's happening.
Coming from the guy who at the outset of this podcast said he was only kind of into space, but
Right.
he's determined.
Like I said, based
already
on my
made a
research,
big
2
pronouncement.
semesters of astronomy, I don't think so.
You took astronomy?
Yeah.
I did too.
Thinking it
didn't.
was going to be easy, that was not an easy class at all, especially when you got into the math part of it, project speed and velocity, and I was like, gee whiz.
Can you name all of the planets in order from the sun on out?
Yes.
I know you guys can. What's the,
What's the one?
no, I'm trying to think there's a saying.
There is. Every
Yeah.
good boy does fine.
No, it's my very something mother,
Whoa.
and it all stands for
Is there a
something.
planet that starts with an F?
No.
You're right, because the first one is Mercury, so that's
Yeah.
my.
And then
Very
Venus.
is Venus. That's the
Then
second
Earth, third rock from the sun.
one. Mhm. Then Mars.
Yeah. Served us nachos.
Mm.
Seriously, it's Saturn, Uranus, as you always say. It's Uranus.
Where's Jupiter?
Somewhere
Served as
back-
nachos
somewhere
doesn't
back-
have a J.
No, it was somewhere back before she served us nachos.
Your mother just served us nachos. My mother
Yeah, maybe just,
My mother just
yes,
served us
so-
nachos.
yes, maybe that was it.
And
Yeah.
by the way, since then, Pluto has been kicked out of the solar system.
Yeah,
We
what
don't-
happened
We
there?
don't recognize that as a planet
So
anymore.
we're down to 8 planets.
Yeah.
Well, what
An
is Pluto
outrage.
considered? Is it considered a satellite
It's a
of?
dwarf planet.
Yeah, I think that's right.
Whoa!
Well, you can't say midget planet.
Wow! I'm
It's a vertically
Don't
challenged
act all
planet.
offended over there.
You know, a couple years ago, my wife got me a good telescope for Christmas, and man, that is the best.
yeah.
That is so much fun to just point it at something. And once you look through the eyepiece, you cannot imagine how many more stars you see compared to what you see with the naked eye.
Do you have the
And-
tracking kind? Tracking telescope?
No, I don't. That would be
see,
cool.
I got one of those.
Yeah,
That's
I have to
awesome.
manually track.
Mm.
And isn't it cool how many satellites come through the viewfinder? It's like every 5
Mm-hmm.
seconds a satellite pops through there.
I've seen that with the naked eye in West Texas, the satellite going by,
Mm-hmm.
which is wild.
Yeah. All right. I want to get to this topic because I have so much to say, and apparently we have a conspiracy theorist among us. Because there are a lot of people that do not believe we went to the moon with the Apollo missions back in the late 60s and early 70s. And recently, somebody that we all know through our radio station career and someone who appears weekly on one of our shows on The Ticket in Dallas.
Like everything else, there's a college football tie-in.
Right.
Craziest people in the world.
This is Greg McElroy, the former Alabama quarterback. He's now a college football analyst, does a bunch of different radio shows and appearances throughout the country. Well, this is on the McElroy and Kubelik in the morning show on WJOX in Birmingham, Alabama. They were talking about the Artemis 2 mission, and then McElroy let everybody know that he thinks this is the first time that we've ever been to the moon.
I'm not saying the Earth is flat. All I'm saying is that we didn't go to the moon in 1969. With literally, we didn't have microwaves, but we can go to the moon. We didn't have colored television.
I don't know what microwaves has to do with getting to the moon.
It has to do with technology. All of a sudden, we're going to travel deep into space. Oh, just so happened to be going through the Cold War in an effort to bankrupt and put financial strain.
Struggling.
And yeah, the American president, the sitting American presidents of the time are not exactly known for being 100% honest and transparent.
How many presidents were there at the time sitting?
Well, I mean, it started with Kennedy and it went all the way through and through Nixon. And I mean, who knows about Kennedy's? I mean, there was a lot of weird stuff going on in the 60s.
Okay.
I think there's weird stuff going on now.
Definitely. There's weird stuff going on all the time. That's why I don't trust a whole lot of what the government tells us. I don't buy it. There's a lot of conspiracies that we can go down if you want to go down. But one that I actually do subscribe to, I don't ever believe it went to the moon. I think it was complete propagandist mentality and people have tried to dissuade me. People have tried to present counter arguments. I'm not changing my opinion on that.
Okay.
I don't think we went to the moon. I think it was pure, genuine propaganda.
Okay.
So
anytime someone says, I'm not changing my opinion on that, no matter what anyone says to
You
me.
don't want to argue with them.
Yeah. It's
right.
just, this is something that I want to believe. And so you just say, hey, great. Have a good day, man. Take care.
there are a lot of people that believe this. I would say it's certainly not a majority, but there are a lot of people that don't think we've ever gone to the moon. And I happen to believe it's one of the most idiotic takes that anybody can have. And along the lines of just not being able to talk to these people, Harrison Schmitt, who was an astronaut aboard Apollo 17, was asked about people who don't think we landed any of those missions on the moon. He said, if people decide they're going to deny the facts of history and the facts of science and technology, there's not much you can do with them.
Yeah.
For most of them, I just feel sorry that we failed in their education.
Wouldn't it be tougher to fake something like that than they actually pull it off like I think we have over the last 50 some odd years?
Yes, and in fact, Neil deGrasse Tyson, the famous astrophysicist, said, of course we landed on the moon. Consider what it would actually take to hoax a landing on the moon. By the way, we went to the moon 9 times, so we'd have to hoax not going to the moon 9 times.
Yeah, why do all of the landings? Why not just fake the one and then say, okay, there we did it?
He said 2 of them, they went around the moon, came back and didn't land, but we'd have to fake that too. Do you realize what that would take? It would be so hard to fake a moon landing. It's easier to just go.
Yeah.
He says the laws of physics enable it, so people need to get over it.
Yeah. But because, and this is what the professional doubter, once you become a professional skeptic in this sense, and it's not even skeptic because it's not even just skepticism. It's believing in the opposite. You're a dedicated contrarian is what you are at that point.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think it's good to ask questions like, hey, I just don't know that we went to the moon because of the way the flag that they planted, the way it was sticking out like that. That just wouldn't happen in the moon. And so that's one of the reasons I doubt it. Well, then someone answers your question and says, well, it was actually a rod that was holding the flag in that position so you could actually see the stars and stripes. Oh, okay. Okay, well, I'll take that off my list of things that I use to support my doubt.
Right.
And then you go to the next thing, and then you get the answer to that question, and then you get the answer to the next question. It's if you're asking questions, actually listen to the answers too.
Right.
And
Yes.
then take that question that you had off the table after you get the answer. But the problem is the next time that guy talks to somebody, he'll go, and I just don't believe, the way that flag also that they planted was doing it. You act like you never even heard the answer before.
Right.
Mhm.
Right.
So do you think there's a whole new round of doubters now with Artemis?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
That
100%.
maybe didn't think much about it because they weren't around in the 70s, but now they hear it and go, there's no way.
Because now it's a fun social game. One of the easiest ways to feel like you make a dent in the world is to cause a dent in other people's world.
Mhm.
And by being annoying and being the guy who just doubts that the earth is round or doubts that we went to the moon or whatever,
The Mars mission will
the
ever
Mars
work.
mission, it's just, and you just go on people's shows and you say, I just don't think that's true. And then you listen to them do all the hard work of showing you the evidence that we actually went and everything. And then you just still sit back and go, I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, but the math works out up here. Look.
Yeah, but I don't see how the math works out. So I didn't take any math courses or anything. It doesn't make sense to me. Like, think about that. You can have a position that annoys everyone around you, and the only amount of work you have to do is, it just doesn't make a lot of sense to me.
Doesn't add up.
Doesn't add up.
No, it does. Look, there are 15
I don't
formulas
know.
up there that work out
I
to
don't
show
know.
you how
Formulas can be manipulated.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah, just in this recent Artemis launch, I saw a lot of doubters online. Oh, did you notice that after it took off, it started going sideways? That means that they eventually
I
landed
saw
somewhere out
that.
of sight. But if you read about why rockets do that, and they all do that, it has something to do with physics and payload, and they can't just keep going straight up, or the astronauts couldn't handle the G-force. You have to kind of sideways your way through the atmosphere.
But they don't want to listen to that answer. They
No.
just start. And I saw a couple guys, they were live watching it and live streaming. They're watching it. There were two professional doubters who we didn't go to the moon. And every time that they cut to a different camera, okay, there's an edit. There's an edit.
Oh, boy.
Yeah.
There's an edit. There's no such thing as multi-camera shoots anymore.
They didn't pick up
They're
another
all
camera.
edits.
Okay.
They're edit.
Oh, my gosh.
Yes.
So you think there's more doubters now than there were in the early 70s?
Oh, yes. Because we have the internet
Now
now.
we have
yeah.
And now that
Right.
Yes.
the
bigger
mentality has sunken in that's a fun way to be in today's world, is to be the conspiracy theorist on everything. Because you can always find something that is just kind of specious, right? It's kind of surface level doubterism that seems like it makes a little bit of sense, and then you just go with that.
Yeah.
And it's fun. It's like the reverse of a brain teaser. You know how brain teasers are fun because it makes your mind work a little bit. This is fun because it makes your mind not work a little bit.
and you win.
And you win.
Yeah.
And you constantly win.
You're in an argument that you can't lose.
Yes. You're determined to not let the other person gain any points. So it's fine. Meanwhile, the person who's trying to show you is listening to your objections. I'm listening to your objections, and I want to give you the evidence that would then disprove them.
We also have a very high-profile person in this country who's introduced the word fake in a whole new way over the last 10 years or
There's
so.
George going political again.
So you can
It's
paint
not
anything
political.
fake.
It's an observation of our world, and there is a very high-profile person who just fake.
Yeah. That
And
is
I think
true.
People buy into that.
Is that all? And the thing is that some things are fake, right? Some things are inaccurate and not true.
Mhm.
I mean, the media gets things wrong at times.
Yeah.
But the problem is that it becomes very easy now just to say, do I do all the research to find out if something is fake, or do I just give a very simple thumbnail of a very simple litmus test of, do I want something to be real or do I not want it to be real? That's what determines what's fake and real. It's not.
Yeah.
And that
the
is really
evidence.
where we are now.
Yes.
Yeah. What you want to believe.
It's
is real.
it's a
Yeah.
gut thing. I
Yeah.
go on my gut,
Whatever makes you feel
and my
good.
gut says we didn't land on the moon.
Okay,
Therefore,
good.
I don't need a bunch of evidence. Don't waste my time with all that.
Back to the arguments Greg McElroy made. He says he's 100% convinced we never landed on the moon. He said because in 1969, We didn't even have the microwave or color TV.
That's not true.
The microwave was invented in 1945.
Right.
Color TV launched commercially in 1950
Yeah.
for the first time. So we had those for decades.
Yes. So does this dissuade him, or does he change his position? No. He just says, well, I mean, you know what I mean.
But back then,
okay.
the microwave didn't have digital readout, though.
Yeah,
So,
didn't have digital readout.
could
So
move
if we
it to
couldn't
the
have
second.
digital readout on microwave, then I
Well,
don't see how we got to the moon.
And his co-host, who you could hear was tolerating him, but also questioning him, his co-host said, what is one shred of evidence you have that we didn't go? And McElroy said, why did we never go back
And we
until
did.
now? 50 years. But we went back 9 times or whatever. We had 9 missions there, and how many? 6 or 7 landed. We kept going back.
Yeah, I know.
And then after 72, we did have a little bit of moon fatigue, but we started channeling our space efforts into Skylab and then space shuttles, the space shuttle
Made
program,
that possible.
and then the International Space Station. So we've been doing things up there, and now we're going back to the moon.
So do
Plus-
those doubters that think we didn't go to the moon, are they also think that we didn't have space shuttles?
That's a
They
good question. I don't know.
Yeah, they would have to, I would think. Say
That
that's
that-
fake too.
I
They
just
didn't
don't see
really
how
go.
you can put people in a craft that's going to get up into space.
And you know what? It's also, I would think it's offensive to, for example, the families of the astronauts of the Apollo 1 mission that burned up on the launch pad. They
Yeah.
lost. They
Was that
lost.
fake?
Was that 1 or 3?
I thought it was 1.
Oh.
It may have been 3, but I think it was 1.
It was Gus Grissom and
Yeah. Ed White, Roger Chaffee.
Mhm.
And so those family members hear this, that the whole thing was faked. Well, so we sacrificed 3 Americans in order to fake?
Yeah, you're telling me that the American government doesn't have the ability to fake deaths? That's the only organization that can fake those deaths.
That's why we started faking them, because we saw then that it couldn't work, and we
Mhm.
didn't want that to happen again.
See? All you
I
have to
found
do
it out,
is
yeah.
just adjust the story a
Yeah.
little bit,
I found a
and
way
you make
to
it
pivot on that.
unfalsifiable.
Oh, God. It's just maddening. It's maddening.
But that's the point, is that
Yes.
if you take that position like this Greg, what's his name?
McElroy.
McElroy.
Not Rory, but
Man.
Greg.
I love his analysis too on college football. I'm going to stop believing him now when he tells me that whoever Indiana's the best team in the country. I'm going to go, I don't know about that.
Well, and I know what people are saying. Why do you care about what a college football guy says about the space program?
Yeah.
Because he's clearly not an expert in that field.
And yes, I mean, to me, it doesn't bother me that he's a college football coach. It bothers me that this has become so widespread that it
yeah.
becomes a thing that kind of infects us,
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
and it infects the culture. And now we've all just turned into everything's not true and everything's true at the same time, and it just doesn't matter.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, someone like that can have an impact on people because they watch him every Saturday, and he's really well spoken. I love the way he talks of college football. And another thing, I think he's funny. This is such a left turn for him. It
It's
just,
very weird.
yeah.
But if his reason breaks down when it comes to these type matters, then why would you believe him with the college football stuff?
That's
Here's
what
a
I'm
guy
saying.
who goes on gut feeling. He doesn't go on any kind of evidence or trends.
But he presents that every week of why he backs up his arguments in college football much
with
better than-
evidence.
He doesn't. He's never mentioned microwave ovens when saying that Georgia's the best defense in
Well, I mean,
college
like,
football.
let's say that he says that there's some college running back that's the best in college running back history.
Mhm.
I'm going, yeah, but I don't know. Way back then, he couldn't even take a step one in front of the other when he was a kid. So how am I going to believe that all of a sudden this guy's now rushing better than anybody else in college football?
Right. All right. And then when you get outside the conspiracy theories about space, there's so much magical about it and so much I love about it and love consuming. And when I was a kid, 2 things really stood out to me. I started collecting stamps when I was probably 5th grade or something, 6th grade. And you were told to pick a genre. And I picked sports because I was a huge sports fan. And one of my best friends, Bill, he picked space and he collected space stamps. And we used to look at each other's collections And as much as I love my sports stamp collection, I thought his space stamp collection was fascinating.
I don't know, man.
And pictures of all of the, from all the different countries who have attempted to put rockets in the air and go to the moon. And there are some really cool space stamps out there. So that got me really interested in it. And then, of course, watching Star Trek, which might be my all-time favorite show. I was so into it that I went to a Star Trek convention when I was probably 12 years old.
Really?
Wearing your homemade Spock ears.
Yes, downtown Oklahoma City, and my mom would drop me off for those 2 days, Saturday and Sunday, and I'd walk in, and it was great. I was surrounded by Trekkies, and yes, I was wearing a Captain Kirk uniform with the badge. And one year I went...
You know what you had in common? How old were you?
I was probably 10 or 12.
You know what you had in common with every adult in that building?
We're all virgins.
All virgins.
Yeah, and I mean, this is no offense, but I stopped watching Star Trek, I think, when I was 6. I was fascinated by it when I was like 4, 5, and 6. And then I don't know. It just seemed...
Dumb.
No, not dumb. I just lost interest in it. There's no one particular thing. I just lost interest in it. I'm not saying it was... And the way you've explained it through the years, I think it's a very well done show, but I was just never into it. Battlestar Galactica never was. Star Wars I was, but I almost think Gordo's, and he's like 5 years younger than us. I think y'all were much more into Star Wars than we were. It's the most spectacular movie I've ever seen for the first time.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It just changed everything.
Yeah.
It was
Movie
such a game
spectacle.
changer. Yes. But I didn't,
Whereas Star Trek seemed a little low rent on the production scale.
Yeah, no, they were 10 years apart.
Right.
Star Trek was
Yeah.
late
Right.
60s, Star Wars in the mid to late 70s. But I remember the first time I went to see Star Wars and I saw it and I thought, okay, that was good. That was cool. But that's no Star Trek.
really.
I love the Enterprise, the look of the spaceship Enterprise much more than anything I saw in Star Wars. Just everything about Star Trek felt cooler to me.
Yeah.
That's interesting. Yeah, it's all a matter of
Wrong on
perspective, I
that one,
guess.
but
And Star Trek was way more predictive of the future than any TV show ever.
true.
And really any science fiction show, certainly of the time. Star Trek predicted communicators, which are today's cell phones, the flip phone that they
Yeah.
used to talk to each other on. Their pads are our smartphones of today. Voice-activated computers, they had that in Star Trek. The tricorder, was a precursor to today's handheld medical diagnostic devices. Replicators, today we have 3D printers. The holodecks, where they used to go for recreation, today we have VR bays. The universal translator that they had on the show, where if they landed and didn't understand an alien's language, they hold out the translator. We have that today with Google Translate. Biometric identification, just the automatic doors, the shoo, shoo, that they walk through that are commonplace today. Bluetooth headphones like Lieutenant Uhura wore. Touch screens, video calls. They had Zoom 50 years before we had Zoom. It predicted the future.
Yeah, but Jabba
Or maybe
the Hutt
generated
was
ideas too.
cooler.
Yes,
hey,
it did too. Yes,
Yeah. Hey, I wonder if we could do something like that.
you're right.
Okay, R2D2, the robots now that deliver food kind of look like R2D2.
Yeah, true. True.
That's the only one I can come up with Star Wars.
We didn't even cover UAPs.
Oh, that's right.
You know what UAP stands for?
You aren't pregnant?
What?
You aren't pregnant.
You're an idiot.
No, I'm hilarious.
I like that. I have good news, Mrs. Smith, the UAP.
Oh, God.
Or bad news, depending on what you want.
What's UAP?
I don't know. I was
It's the
asking
new
you guys.
UFO. It's
Oh, okay.
unidentified
There'll always be
aerial
UFOs to me.
propaganda.
Unidentified anomalous phenomena.
That's right.
And they changed this in December of 2022. It used to be unidentified aerial phenomena, but they wanted to cover all of the these tic tacs that are called, that these crafts that go under the water and fly in and out of the water very rapidly. So they changed it to just unidentified anomalous phenomena to cover submersed and transmedia craft.
And you think we're on the verge of a breakthrough in and making contact.
Here's my conspiracy theory. People always say that I'm non-conspiracy theorist or just anti-conspiracy theorist. I'm not. There's some things that I am kind of conspiracy on. And I think that it's just a little strange the way that the government changed their tune on UFOs, what we now call UAPs.
And you've noticed that's in like the last 5 years.
In the last, whenever the New York Times piece came out, that was a big watershed moment in the UAP discussion, because you had the old gray lady that was talking about, the old gray lady meaning the New York Times, talking about UAPs and giving it some sort of credence, rather than it being a laughingstock and marginalizing these people who would believed in UFOs. Now all of a sudden we have the New York Slimes, our most storied institution, or one of them, talking about it. And the government also, a lot of people in government saying, hey, we need to study this, and this is interesting, and these incidents, the Commander Fravor incident and the Nimitz incident, all these things, there's something to them.
Casey Musgraves.
And then, Casey Musgraves, another one of our luminaries, coming out and saying this. I just thought it was interesting, this change of tune that the government all of a sudden had on them. Instead of making fun of everyone, the government saw it as advantageous to say, this, I don't know. Yeah, this could be, this may be aliens, and this is real interesting. We need to be investigating this alien stuff. I mean,
they put out some more video too that we had not seen before.
Yeah,
too, right?
The video that's getting out
classified some stuff,
right? And anytime that happens, my little antenna goes up thinking, okay, if they're more comfortable with us believing this story, then what is the story that they want us to make sure we're not looking toward?
Okay.
They want us to look away. Here's
Right.
the distraction. Hey, we love this distraction you're on. Yeah. This alien stuff. Yeah. We think that they may be like these little men from another planet that could be coming here and stuff. They don't want you to know that it's men from this planet that are doing stuff. Or that there are beings that are visiting us from perhaps our own planet, perhaps from a different time, different dimension.
Yeah. See, my official take on that is I've always believed in intelligent life form outside of this planet. I think it's incredibly egocentric to imagine that in this unbelievably vast universe that we can't even comprehend how big it is,
right?
that we're the only intelligent life form. I just find that ludicrous to imagine.
But what would that intelligence look like? It
E.T.
probably would not look like the bipedal, larger head,
Right.
These humanoid type creatures would probably not be the evolutionary pinnacle in some other
Right. Yes.
ecosystem.
That I don't think I or anybody has the answer for, but I imagine there's all sorts of different forms of intelligent life.
But
out there.
strangely enough, the ones that visited us were humanoids.
Right,
Why
had
is
legs
that?
and eyes and
Why is that?
because it was initially our creation.
Yes.
Because we couldn't imagine anything other than
Yes.
intelligent life looking like us.
But it's one thing to believe there's other intelligent life somewhere else in the universe. It's a different belief to think that they have visited us.
Right.
Because that space travel, interstellar travel in particular, is just so forbidding and seems unnecessary. Why would they be visiting us? And why would they send the idea that this shows the limit of our own imagination? This is where I think science fiction writers provide a very important service to culture, because I do think they think up ideas that engineers then take and bring into reality. From our Imagineers to our engineers.
Like
It's
Star
an
Trek.
important
Yes.
thing. Yeah.
Right.
Is why would aliens send biological life form when biology traveling that far just is impossible?
Yeah. I think you just mentioned it. That I've always imagined them visiting us in another dimension, one that we can't comprehend. That they're here in some way.
Unless they can fold space time. That's Bob Lazar's. His position is that this craft that he was seeing could bend space time,
Right.
and that's how it's able to basically create a wormhole in space time and travel long distances in the blink of an eye, because it's actually folding space time.
He's very convincing, by the way.
I know.
Do you have hope that we get visited by someone who looks like Chewbacca?
What? Why would I hope for that?
How could you not? Wouldn't you want to be buddies with Chewbacca?
No,
By the way,
I'd rather meet Jesus.
We don't have to bring
hope
up
Jesus
Chewbacca in every episode.
travels.
That's just like 2 in a row. But when you want to play golf with Chewbacca, teach him how to play golf.
Of all the things that all this magic and majesty could produce, playing golf with Chewbacca is not even on my list.
Okay. Well, I mean, my personal fantasy foursome is Jordan Spieth, Chewbacca, and
He didn't have a
Dak
third
Prescott.
one.
Yeah. Dak Prescott.
Yeah, I think that'd be a great foursome. We'd have a good time.
You know why I ultimately believe or want to believe that there is life out there somewhere, intelligent life? Because I think that makes life here on Earth much more fun. It's more enjoyable to me to go through life imagining what might be out there, as opposed to just shutting down that possibility in that part of my brain and not having that daydream.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think that's a healthy way of looking at it. Unless there's evil out there that's going to destroy us.
And I forget what percentage of planets. It's pretty low, the percentage of planets that we think are actually in the Goldilocks zone in their solar systems that could support life as we know it.
Right.
On it. So there's definitely it's rare. I think that life is rare throughout the universe. But that doesn't mean it's not there.
That's key. Life as we know it, as we learn in Star Trek. They would go to planets that should not have had any living forms on there because their atmosphere would not be able to host it, but there were life forms there because they were different from us.
So you think that there's a possibility there's life on the moon and that we have been in the presence of it, but we just can't detect it because it exists on a different sphere, plane, a different...
Yeah, I think that's a possibility.
Things that we consider inanimate.
Yeah. I wouldn't...
Like rocks are alive.
I guess it's a possibility on any planet or moon or anything out there. I've never thought about that on the moon. And I'm not sure I've thought about it on any of our other planets in this solar system. But way out there, I imagine that could be the case.
Yeah, but I'm saying like the planets in our solar system would be the same in hospitable places towards life. But you're saying that you think that life as we know it doesn't exist there, but other life does.
Right.
In our solar system even.
No, for whatever reason, I've never thought about other life in our solar system because I think, well, that's like our next door neighbor and we would have heard from them by now. Like they could just look out the window and wave at us.
Yeah.
But I've always left open my mind to the possibility that there could be life on one of these planets. But I just always imagine it in another solar system or another galaxy, somewhere way far away, where they can't just open the window and say hi and borrow a cup of sugar.
Play 18 holes of golf.
A sugar-based diet.
Yes.
Like I do.
Okay, that's this week's edition of The Musers, the podcast, Talking Space. Thanks for joining us. Thanks to our producer, Peter Welpton. Don't forget you can sample our entire back catalog, 38 back episodes now, since this was number 39, for you to listen to. We hope you'll do that, and we'll see you next time on The Musers, the podcast.